Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm here just to show you another quick build in Elden Ring. This build will be focused around on an amazing weapon that I kinda slept on until now, to be honest. This is the Zamor curved sword. It's a curved greatsword, which doesn't have the best moveset, I'll be honest. Like, it's very janky, and you can see that like all the moves have a weird delay on them. Definitely not as good as the smaller curved swords. But the moveset is not what makes this weapon good at all. It's essentially the weapon skill, the Ash of War, the Ice Storm. This thing is literally a L2 spam machine. You just spam this, and this thing will do frostbite buildup, magic damage, and it will also stagger enemies very easily. So this build will be mostly just spamming this thing over and over again. You can use the moveset of the weapon, but there's not much reason to, I'll be honest. The moveset is pretty crappy. Anyway, this is a DLC build, so I pumped my numbers up to level 200 instead of 150. So our stats are just the following. We have 60 Vig for the health, 15 Mind just to be able to cast it a little bit more. We can cast it 8 times with this build per bar, 25 Endurance just to have stamina, 52 Strength, and 70 Dex because this sword is a quality weapon. With the scalings are not great, but you have B scaling in dexterity and C in strength, so I split them accordingly to the scalings. 26 int and 26 fate. That's just to use our talisman. Sorry, I mean our incantation and a spell stick, which I will show later. And arcane doesn't even matter, I'll be honest. You should start as a vagabond as well if you're doing the stat spread. In terms of weapons, we have obviously the Zamor curved sword, which I said it scales with dex and strength. So if you want to maximize damage of the weapon itself, split your stats like this. If you don't care about damage in the weapon, you can maybe just bump your mind a bit more to be able to spam the spell a bit more. But again, it's good to have damage on your normal attacks, because even if you don't like to do normal attacks, you can just use it for riposts, because you will be staggering a lot. So that's the one normal attack that you will probably be doing a lot. Or spell casting and incantation caster is a bit of a unique one. This is a DLC weapon that you get from killing Messmer. This stuff might seem a bit weird as a choice, but it's really good because the main purpose is that this staff lets you cast anything. So you can cast incantations and spells with the same item, which is really good because you don't have to be switching them around, and that gives you a lot of time and makes setting up the build a bit easier. In terms of spells, we have only 2 spells, but you can add a third if you want. Anyway, we have Golden Vow and Terra Magica. These are the most important ones. Golden Vow just gives you 12% more damage and a bit more damage reduction, and Terra Magica gives you an insane buff to your magic damage, which the storm is magic damage, but it does limit you to a small space. So if you can't use Terra Magica against certain bosses, that's completely fine. It's just if you can use it because a lot of bosses let you fight around the little space, but again, not every single boss. Like some bosses who have multiple body parts or fly and chase a lot, they won't be able to stay in the Terra Magica sigil very easily. In terms of Wondrous Flask, we just have 2. Magic Shroud Cracked Tear, obviously just to get more damage with Storm, and the Stone Barb Cracked Tear, which honestly, even though I think this tear is a bit crap, it actually matters a lot because this thing makes the weapon stagger in like 3 or 4 casts, which is amazing. You can stagger almost anything very quickly. Another thing that I'd like to point out is flask allocation. I'm using 11 red ones and 3 blue ones. This is because you might want to cast the spell a lot more than just 8 times, and when you use the incantations and the spell Terra Magica, you will be needing a refill. So it's like you already only have 2 blue flasks, so I recommend having 3 just in case. Anyway, you'll be killing most bosses extremely quickly, so having less red flasks is whatever. Another thing that is really useful is the Exalted Flesh. It just gives you a small buff to your damage, but it's not essential. You can totally not use it. It just adds up. Since I don't have any body buff on this build, I'll just using the flesh. In terms of talismans, we have the Enraged Beast, a DLC talisman, which increases the strength of storms, which Ice Storm, the more Ice Storm is the storm, so it counts. Two-handed talisman is just whatever, it's just free damage for two-handing the weapon, which we will be doing until when we are done with casting our spells, we will be two-handing 95% of the times. This one is a bit of a oddball, but it's really good. Carrion Filigree Crest. This one just lets you cast more Ashes of War per bar, so it's optional. You can use something else if you want, like the Magic Scorpion Charm if you just want more damage. But the damage increase honestly is not that much. This just lets you cast the spell 8 times instead of 6, which is nice. And Shard of Alexander, no brainer. You get more damage just for casting the spell because it's an Ash of War. In terms of armor, this is just a visual look. I don't use this armor at all in this video. I would recommend the Divine Beast helmet. This thing has a few hidden buffs in it. It has a debuff as well, which is that it gives you less regeneration when you use a red flask, but it gives you 4% more damage to storm attacks. So it's incredibly good if you think about it. And the armor is the famous Rakshasa armor, which gives you 2% damage per armor piece. So in total, just from your armor, you get 10% extra damage just from having this armor. And again, if you don't want to use the Carrion Filicrest Creed, you can just swap it with Magic Scorpion to get the maximum damage. And if you don't like to use Exalted Flesh, you can put Howl of Shabriri. But I will say Howl of Shabriri is a bit too long and it's a bit awkward to fit with the duration of everything else. Exalted Flesh is a bit quicker and more convenient, but it is a consumable, so you probably will run out of it, obviously. But I think that's pretty much it. In terms of how the build works, you just go up to the enemy, you dodge a few attacks, and then just spam this attack over and over inside your Terra Magica if you can. If you can't set up Terra Magica for some reason, just don't do it. It's just a bit less damage, but it will still do a crazy amount of damage. This build got me comfortably through every DLC boss. Obviously not first try, because I'm not like insanely good, but like very easily, honestly. It even made some of the harder bosses like Radahn and Malenia just completely seem like pushovers. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video, and I'll see you next time.
the mark of a true lord.
Your foolishness!